Moments of Change is a new multidisciplinary initiative which is sponsored by the Institute for the Arts and Humanities at Penn State. It is ongoing in the sense that every academic year will look at a different significant moment of change in world history. The initial topic for the 2007-08 academic year is the early 17th century and the roots of modernity, and we'll be looking at the 25-year period between about 1600 and 1625. In spring 2006, I was contacted by the Palmer Museum of Art. They had just received word that they were going to be acquiring a major painting by Giovanni Baglione, an early 17th century Roman artist in the school of Caravaggio. And the painting is a major gift by Mary Jane Harris, who is a Penn State alumna and a major benefactor of this university. They were very interested in having someone on this campus help them shed light on that period, on the art, on the culture, on the social context of the early 17th century. When one thinks of the early 17th century, a number of really prominent figures come to mind. Some are really at the core of the Western canon. One example that is close to my own heart as a musicologist, that would be Claudio Monteverdi, the really creator of this new genre of opera. And this is really truly one of those genres that has a date, that has a beginning date. And that beginning date is February 24th, 1607 in the city of Mantua, when Claudio Monteverdi's opera L'Orfeo was first performed. And it is widely recognized as the first operatic masterpiece. Or in the visual arts, Caravaggio, who worked with a new technique, a number of new techniques, but one in particular, the chiaroscuro technique, that really revolutionized the way in which artists, even after the 17th century, used light and used shadow. Or Kepler, who was a scientist in the early 17th century who really brought about an entirely new understanding of the universe. When one thinks of Shakespeare, this is really the moment when he wrote the majority of his plays, including masterpieces such as Hamlet, which was first performed in 1606. Galileo is a very well-known early 17th century scientist who was the first figure in the West to use the telescope. Many of us know that Galileo was in his time a very controversial figure. He was considered a heretic because of his discoveries and his ideas about the universe and the way in which the Earth fits within that universe. Some of the scientific innovations that first appear in the West in the early 17th century, such as Galileo's first use of the telescope or Kepler's understanding of the universe, were really not breakthroughs when you consider that they were known or they were being used, if not developed, much earlier in the East. In the hands of some of the Islamic, especially some of the Islamic scientists in earlier centuries. There were periods much earlier than our own that saw great interchange and great communication between East and West and North and South. The early 17th century is one of those periods. When you look at the New World, this is a moment of significant development. We know that West Virginia was colonized in 1607, Jamestown as the first British settlement. North America was just emerging as an area of the world in these early years of the 17th century. Moments of Change is an ambitious initiative in a number of ways. Not only does it bring together scholars, artists, from a number of different disciplines, but it also looks at the early 17th century from many different perspectives, meaning from many different presentation formats. So we have lectures, we have roundtables, but we also have concerts, and we have theatrical productions and exhibitions and panel discussions. So there is a very wide range of presentation formats. Another major component of Moments of Change will be the Weiss Seminar lecture series, which will be offered in the spring semester. This is the inaugural Weiss Seminar, which will be offered every year, and often it will be connected to the Institute's Moments of Change. And the topic for this year is 400 years ago, a decade in the life of Europe and the Americas, 1599 to 1609. So we will be looking at the first 10 years of the Moments of Change chronology, and looking at that period through a number of lectures, some by Penn State faculty, scholars, and some by invited lecturers. I invite the general public to attend as many of these lectures as possible. I think it's going to really add a lot to our knowledge of the early 17th century.